All right, hello everyone. Welcome. So today what I want to do is I would like to create the packaging design for our packaging. I showed you in the last one how to take this object, make it, and unroll the surfaces to create a map that you can use to actually make your packaging in physical form. Now I want to show you how to prep it for Blender. The first thing to know is that surfaces have no thickness. Therefore, there's an issue with using surfaces by themselves because they will show up as transparent in the interior of the object. So if we want to have, if we're looking and we want to see inside the object, we need to add thickness. Now this doesn't pertain to you if you aren't adding thickness or if you aren't making like a window into it, because you won't be able to see inside of it anyway. But sometimes it is nice to be able to make your object have the actual thickness of like the board that it's made out of. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, I'm going to Alt and or Option if you got a Mac, click on that to bring it over here. And then I am going to hide this. And then I'm going to offset these surfaces. So just type offset surface, click on it. Push enter, and you can see by the arrows everything is going in its proper direction. Yay! I'm going to make sure my corners are sharp. If you've got them rounded, it looks kind of cool, but also when you bring it into Blender, it does kind of mess with the geometry. Make sure it says solid, yes. And then delete input, yes. And if it's going the wrong way, you can flip all of them, or if you want to make them go inside, you can flip all of them there. And then I'm going to select my distance, and I'm going to do 1/16 inch. So that's a 1/16 of an inch. And if I put the inch little logo on there, it doesn't matter if I'm in metric system or what, it'll actually make it inches. So I hit enter twice, and that gives me my thickness. Okay. Then I'm going to right click here and bring back this hidden deal here. And I'm going to add a little thickness to this too. So I'm going to go ahead and hit offset surface here. And this time I'm going to do a different distance. I'm going to do 1/32 inch. So that gives me a little thickness on my clear transparent window that we've got. Okay, so I'm going to select these two now, and I'm going to go ahead and export them as an FBX file. File, export selected, FBX file, and I'm going to call it packaging. Save, yes. And then I'm going to have all of these settings like this. Okay. And then I don't really care about the polygon count because I'm going to optimize them in Blender. So I hit OK. All right. So the next step is to go ahead and open up my my project file in Blender. So I'll bring in my lightsaber. All right. There's my object. Perfect. Let's go up here and make sure we are not in Eevee. We want to be in cycles always. And I'm using my GPU to compute. So GPU compute is the correct answer there. Then I'm going to go ahead and put it into ray traced view here. And we don't have any lights in this scene right now, so it looks a little funky. I can add some lights. So if I go Shift A, I can go down here to light. And I'll do a area light. Okay. Then I can go G, Z, grab and use the Z axis to light up our scene a little bit. Cool. And then other things I might want to do here while I'm just messing around, Shift A, and I'll add another mesh plane. And lovely, lovely. I can hit S and scale it out. Cool. And let's go ahead and give it a material. I'll do a new material here, and I'm going to give it a metallic material. So I'm going to bring down the roughness, bring up the metallic. Very nice. So that now I've got a nice little reflecting plane on which my object is sitting. And I can see that it's not quite right where I want it. So GZ again, just to bring it up to where it meets the object nicely. Cool. All right, so now let's go File, Import, FBX, and we'll bring in our packaging. Import FBX. And there it is, right where it was on our other plane. So I'm going to hit G, Z, whoop, not Z, sorry. Is it Y? Y, yes. G, Y, and then G, Let's do GX to push it back. So I just want it kind of sitting next to it. All right, and then with those selected, I'm going to hit Shift I, or I'm sorry, Control I to select the inverse and hit H to hide. Okay. Now let's look at it in wireframe, and we can see we've got quite a bit of geometry here, and that's a little chaotic. So let's go ahead and clean it up. So I'm going to first click on this object, and then I'm going to hit Tab to go to object mode. Then I'm going to go to Mesh, Clean Up, and I'm going to go to Merge by Distance. And so this is going to actually get rid of all unnecessary vertices first. So I removed 444 vertices, and I'm going to click Sharp Edges down here, the little pop-up menu. Make sure you don't miss that. If you do, undo and then redo it because it will mess up the way the light falls on the object. Great. So then we're going to tab back over and select the screen here and do the same thing. Tab back again, Mesh, Clean Up, Merge by Distance, and now you'll see that it's sticky down here, so it already merged it. We lost 380 vertices into the ether. Fantastic. The next step is to hit Tab again, and we're going to go over to Modifiers. Add a modifier. We're going to use a Decimate modifier. We're going to do planar decimation, and it's going to bring down our geometry substantially, which is lovely. And we're going to go ahead and hit Apply. Okay. And there are ways that you can copy these so that you're doing all of the modifiers at once, but I'm going to just do one at a time here. Add another modifier, decimate, planar to the other object, and okay, looks good, and apply. All right. So let's look at it in our normal view here. Great. Looks all right, close enough for government work. Next step is to go ahead and start playing with the UV maps. So you're only going to be UV mapping if you get this thing as transparent. That's easy. We just add a new material to this. So select it, get rid of the material that's on it, add a new one, bump up the transmission roughness down, transmission up, roughness down. Perfect. And then click on the other object, get rid of the material here. And then we're going to go to UV editing. Okay. And then I'm going to do a little tab over so we can see the UV map. Ooh, and we've got all kinds of overlapping nasty UVs here. Gross. Okay, so then we can go to UV up here, and we can do just unwrap. Okay. I don't like that one. Let's do UV, Smart UV Project. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's a cleaner one. Okay, so the next thing we know is we just want really the exterior UV maps, but these are too close. So let me undo that again. Let's do UV, Smart UV Project, and then let's do a little island margin here. So let's do a 0.1 island margin, and then hit OK. All right. And then let's go ahead and start playing with what our faces are. So first, let's go up here to Face Select, Selection Mode, Face Select. And when I click on this, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of look for which face is selected. So that looks like is that the inside one or the outside one? Here, actually, let me tab back over, select this object, and hide it so we can see better. Tab back over again. Tab. Okay. Oh, okay. So now we can see that one's highlighted down there. And what I like to do is any of the faces I don't need, I'm going to scale way down because basically they're going to be solid objects. They'll just be solid black on the inside, I think is what I'm going to do. So then I'm going to select each one of these and just try to find out which faces I'm working with here. Okay. I don't need any of that. So this is all scaled down. Yep, that's the top one. Scale down. And these are going to be the edges, which, again, I don't need. So I'm going to grab them, move them over here, scale them down. Okay. And then just keep finding. Well, all right, I'm going to need that one. I'm going to need that one. I'm going to need, is that the bottom? Yeah, that's the bottom. I don't even need the bottom, so I'm not going to see the bottom. I'm going to scale it down. And scaling them down does two things. It actually makes them take up less space on the UV map, and by default, it's just going to be like in a black space on the object or on the map, so it'll come up as black. And that's kind of what I want here. If you don't want black, you can change the rest of the, change like a color in Photoshop in the area that the UV map is to make it a different color in Photoshop. And we're going to kind of get into that in a minute here. All right, so is that an interior? No, that's the side. Okay, and then this is inside there, so we don't need that one. Scale it down. Okay, so let's just keep going. Okay, that's the right side. I need that one. I don't need that one. Okay. So this, I assume, is the back then. Okay, so that's where I want to put my lightsaber stuff. So I'm going to hit G and kind of move these closer so I can kind of line them up a little bit better. And you can play with the placement of the UVs pretty easily. So, and then I'm going to scale all of this up at the same time. So S for scale, G, because I want it to take up the majority of the UV map, right? So I'm going to G, move this over here, G, move this over here. Okay, and scale it up as much as I can. Cool. So now I've got my UV map. I've got them all. I can kind of just maybe write down which ones are which in your mind. So that's that. And this whole section here, it's all connected there. So this is, if I move this closer, probably even almost like touching would be good, because this is that top part. Yeah, okay. And this, just making sure they're all lined up. All right, so I know what is what. So there's two ways you can go about it now. I've got this map here. I can bring this into Photoshop and really just kind of use my Photoshop skills, which is probably what y'all will want to do because you already have those skills. So I'm going to go to UV maps here, and I'm going to go to export UV layout. And I'll make sure it's in my lightsaber folder, and I'm going to call it UV1 package, PKG. Export UV layout. Okay, so now because these UVs are lined up the way they are, if I go to Photoshop with my UV layout that I just created right here, open with Adobe Photoshop. Okay, now I can see my map here, and I can just go to my previous packaging design that I printed out, which is right here. Open this with Adobe Photoshop as well. Okay, I can pull this down, and then I can even just you know, I don't like the fact that I got these blue lines and stuff on here actually at all. But I don't have any other images of this. So whatever, I'm just going to use it. It's not going to make me happy, but that's all right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and select a part of this and just kind of move it over here. And so I would like to, actually, you know what? No, I don't want to do this. Bring up, where's my other one? Okay, actually I want to just grab part of it. So I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool here and just grab just this section here, and then hit V and then drag it over to here. All right, and then I'm going to go Control T for transform, and I'm just going to try to make it fit. And you can, like, actually I'm going to go to a different type of transform. Edit, free transform. I'm going to go to skew here. So this will give me a little bit more. And I'm going to actually go to my layers as well and move change the orientation here so that I can see my window more, right? Oh, I forgot to edit, transform, skew. Oh, select the correct layer here. How's that looking? Looks pretty decent, I think. For the most part here, if I pull this a little bit this way, I'm just trying to also line up the window so that it's, you know, working in the windows. And you can even add more points to it. So if I go to image, you know what? No, I'm fine with this. So I hit done there. All right, I got that one. Now let's open up the other part because there's only 2 parts I've got on here, but you'll probably have more. That's the way it should be at least. And I'm just going to grab this little part here. And I'm going to hit V to cut it out. Put it right here. Ooh. Do not want to move the map. All right, so we got this guy and then this one. All right, so let's go ahead and just place this on top of this one. All right, then kind of get it lined up. Control T for transform. And I want to go ahead and move it over here. Just get it kind of lined up. And then I'm going to go edit, transform, skew, and get it into our mapped position here. Okay, bring this one back. All right, so that should hopefully be correct. Let's go ahead now and delete the UV map because we don't need it anymore. So I'm gonna hit go ahead here and throw it in the trash. Yes, delete the layer. Okay, let's go ahead and flatten this one out. And file, save. Back to Blender. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go to open here and we're going to go to this one and hit OK. And you can see it lines up nicely there. Now, when you look at it here, you're not going to see anything because we don't have this assigned to it yet. So let's go ahead now and create a material for this object. Tab over, object is selected, new material, base color, and we're going to go to image texture. And let's see, did I bring it in? Whatever, I'll just open because it's right there, and open. And because it aligns with the object just right, we've got a beautiful, beautiful object here. The other thing to note is I do have these set with white on the ends here because it's the way it looks just this way. Let me just hit Alt H to bring everything back. Okay, click on the object there. Oh, and I've got to make sure I got my transmission. I've got my, this doesn't look quite right. I want it more transparent. Let's see. And you can also put the object inside of there too. That might actually be the way to go. So if I go to a top view here and switch it to wireframe, select this object. What is this here? Oh, that's the light. Control click to not select that. And then Shift D will duplicate, and then Y, X actually, X, put it in the box. Okay. Is it in the box? It's in the box. Okay. So next I need to make sure that I create a new material for this. And we go to transmission, through the roof, roughness, all the way down. And you can see the lightsaber inside of it as well. All right. Other things, the map that we created in Photoshop, if I wanted to make everything black, I can go ahead and get my paint bucket. Where is my paint bucket? Paint bucket, black, boom. All right, and then I can go Control S again. And then if I, let's get rid of this, reopen this with the black. Okay. Very cool. So that's how you can kind of line up your UV map with your design to have a nice graphic on top of it. So I will pick a view that I like here, go back to modeling, select my view, and we will go ahead and render this out. And my render settings here that I'm going to use, I'm going to move this to 3000 by 2500. Select a camera here, which is way up here. Then I'm going to click this out, view, camera to view. That way I'm locked in. And you can kind of change your aspect ratio based on, you know, if you want it poster view or landscape view, it depends on your object. Mine looks better in landscape view, so I'm going to keep it that way. 3000 pixels should be fine, but if I wanted to, I could do 3500. You know, it just depends on how you want it to look. There we go. Just kind of that orientation, 3:2, whatever orientation you want. Remember, you're going to be printing these on 11 by 17, so you probably want to have that aspect ratio. So crunch it down a little bit. And then I can zoom in on my object. I can even click on a part and hit my numpad decimal point to really zoom in quick, which is also under view. And that's frame selected. By selecting an object, you frame it. Okay, and then I can also click on this little side window here. Can I grab it? There we go. And then I get the camera, and I can change, like, do I want it to be more dramatic, like wide angle style, or more compressed? Maybe I'll do it that way. I like that. Okay, and then also if I want to do depth of field, I can click on that and bring it in closer here. Well, I believe you'll find that focus point, right? So you can kind of click and drag a little bit just to get it in focus the way you want. And I might bring my f-stop up a little bit too, so I get more of it in focus. Cool. And then all you gotta do is hit F12 to render it out. And this is the render result. And then all that's left to do is the final branding. You know, just kind of the type of information you would have on an ad, right? So again, the flashlight saber, and maybe a little blurb about light up the dark side or something like that, you know, just to kind of give it a marketing little quip on it. So that is creating the packaging. Again, I'm not very happy that I've got all these lines on here. That's my mistake, but overall, I think it works. So thank you very much. Hopefully you found this informative.